Unwording is a really difficult game to review without giving away some of the key components as to why I enjoyed it. But it's also one of those games that is better the less you know about it going in. So my review is structured in two halves. The first half will all be about just the gameplay mechanics and what worked well and what didn't. And then I'll move on to why it was really impactful for me, and I'll stick a spoiler alert in so that if you're interested and you don't want to know any more, you can dive off the video. With Unwording, you're playing as a character that's going through a mundane life, experiencing a negative emotional downward spiral. So you get up, go to work, have a day at work, come home, all alone, microwave meal, go to bed, meh, same old day. And so every time you interact with an object or something reminds you of how mundane your life is, it takes you into a word game. And there are two distinct word games that play out across Unwording. The first is one where you've got like what I'm going to call letter dice, almost like Boggle in a way. And what you are given is one phrase talking about the actual object or the thing that's triggered a thought in your brain, and then you're rearranging it to reflect your negative mental state below. And what you're doing is rotating the dice. And one of the earliest examples is you pick up your phone, no one's messaged you, no one's contacted you, so you feel alone. So you change the phrase that's given up above to the phrase below is I am alone. And you do that by rotating the dice and putting them in the right place in the phrase below. As you do that, the dice light up so that it shows you that you're on the right track. And there's two different difficulties, easy and normal. I found easier, shock horror, because what it did was it gave me a couple of initial dice dropped in so that I could kind of understand where the phrase was taking me, because otherwise you could make up any kind of words, whatever you've got, because there's no constrictions or restrictions. So it just narrowed down the scope of what I was looking for, almost like filling in a jigsaw puzzle, but they gave you the outer rim or perimeter of a jigsaw puzzle for you to then fill in the centre, and that's what I felt like easy versus normal mode was about. The second type of word game I found slightly more finicky from a control perspective, and this was about rotating dice in a 3D environment so that the dice could line up to create words. And so this was much more around like a visual perspective type of thing, which is very on point for the game itself. And again, the easy mode gave you the ability to light up some dice so that you could kind of guess and start lining things up properly. Because what I found was I thought I'd spotted the word that I needed, and then I wasn't lining it up exactly how Unwording wanted me to do it. And so I was like, maybe it's not the word, and then I'd move on and I'd spin around for ages and just think, this is faffy. But yeah, this game is really, really intriguing. It's impactful, it's short, it's to the point. It took me about 85 minutes to complete it, and those were 85 minutes very well spent. But I'm going to put spoiler alert here, so jump off the video now if you're interested. If you still want to know more, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you've been warned. The main reason why I really loved Unwording is how perspective is treated throughout the game and is baked into every single piece of the game's design. So I'm not just talking about the fact that you've got dice in the word games that you rotate around to see a new perspective, and then you see them in a 3D plane to move around in your perspective. But then in the third area of the game, you get to like talk into the game by just typing words, and you're not constricted by anything. This also takes place in the graphics design and the gameplay elements of stuff too, because you start off as a 2D drawing, then it moves into a 3D landscape, but you're still viewing things on the same visual plane as a 2D game. But then in the third act, the entire world opens up to you, and you can rotate your camera and you start to see, again, things from another perspective. So as you start to become more positive, the game and everything that's available to you opens up. And it's such a ingenious, poetic way of baking in this idea of change your perspective into every facet of the game, that it was genuinely really impactful when I first noticed in Act 3 that I could move the camera, because I was so baked into move forward, do this, do that, do the other. And then I just accidentally nudged my mouse, and then I went, oh, hang on. And then I was like, God, there's another side of the road with loads of people on that I've not talked to. And it was really like, it hammers home the point. And I wonder, and I don't know if you can, play this game without rotating the camera and get to the end of it and not realise that you hadn't changed your perspective in the game. And it was just one of those kind of like real teachable moments in game design that just really chef kissed it for me. But knowing that going in totally ruins having that first experience for the first time, and that's why I wanted to put it as a kind of spoilery part towards the end, because it's about that kind of there's the teachable moment with Unwording that just sold the game for me. And yeah, it's a short and sweet experience, but it packs so much in that's impactful, and it sells itself so well. And also about the other underlying message of it being happiness is from simplicity within. Don't go and buy happiness and objectify it through possessions and status and all of that kind of stuff. That was a subliminal message also running underneath, but for me the big thing was this perspective takeaway. So yeah, written review will be over on higherplanegames.com. Cute little gem this, recommended.
Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.